Welcome to the Postmodern Art Podcast, the podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wowing the world over the platform they deserve. I am your host, Nathan Ragland, and for today's episode, I have a conversation with you that is quite possibly genre bending, gender bending, humor bending, conversation bending. It's a fun conversation. Today's guest is Tucker Wooley, a multi-talented artist whose work truly showcases their unapologetic self, whether it be the animations that they do, the web comics, the video essays, the poetry, and so much more. Tucker is one of those people that I constantly see out there just pushing out so much incredible stuff, whether it be stuff of their own work or other people's artwork, and I can't help but truly love and appreciate it, and I wanted to show that love and appreciation back to Tucker. If you enjoy our guests, please make sure you support them with the links down in the description below. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Leave 5 stars wherever you can. You know I see that stuff, and you know it truly does make my day. If you want to go a little further with that support, may I recommend you check out our merch shop at fourthwall.com. We have some sensational outfits as done by some fantastic artists. And right now, during Pride Month, I want to get as many of the Pride shirts out there to the masses as possible. So, on top of half the money we make already going back to charities such as Trans Lifeline and Lambda Literary, for every 10 shirts that we sell, I will personally donate $100 from my own wallet to these charities as well. So, if we want to spread that positivity and also help out some incredible charities, please check out that merch shop in the description below. Get that Pride merch and be your unapologetic self today. But now, without further ado, please enjoy the Postmodern Art Podcast. Thank you sincerely for even taking the time to do this in the first place. I think
thank you so much for having me.
I can't remember how long it's been since I've actually paid attention to your stuff. I can't even remember the first thing that I saw of yours, but I remember you've always had that presence where every time I see like your icon or I see one of your comics or animation or whatnot, I just love it every single time. So it's an honor and a pleasure for me to have you on the podcast as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to. I've been on the internet for a while.
Oh, I noticed when I did my mild research.
Yeah, no, it scares me how long I've been on the internet. And you know, back in the day, I obviously was not old, so
yeah.
now these are obvious sentences I'm saying, but
yep.
But yeah, no, I was helping. I grew up on this. How do I explain it to another human being?
Okay.
I grew up on a wiki for Nintendo fan fiction.
Oh, so interesting.
Basically, yeah, when my friends and I were like 10, we were making like Wikipedia style articles for video games that don't exist.
Okay.
And some of them were like Mario spin-offs, Zelda spin-offs. Some of them were completely original things.
Okay, I'm starting to get the vibe of what you're talking about. Okay,
right? Yeah, it's still up. It's called Fantendo. But I mention it because that was like 20 years ago now.
Right.
And they're moving the current crop of kids who are on there are trying to migrate the website from the current platform that it's on, which used to be called Wikia, but it's now called fandom.com.
Right.
You've probably been on those wikis researching various
exactly
things.
Anytime you want to think about like a certain fandom or a certain thing like that, it's just that's the user put in, all that jazz.
Exactly. And it's usually, it's like always fans, but it's usually also like minors,
right,
who are doing it. And so they're finally trying to move. We threatened to, like, even back 20 years ago, we were like, oh, I wish we could move, because even back then, but certainly more so now, the website is gentrified to heck. It's just like rendered nearly unusable by advertisements and stuff that just like gets in the way of the the articles and stuff, which is so antithetical to the point.
Even with an ad blocker, it's very noticeable, and I have an ad blocker
absolutely.
on myself.
Yeah, no, me too. And you have to, but it's they're finally moving, and I was helping them download like 20 years worth of images, and like helping them migrate, because I just want this to be like smooth for them.
Right.
Like I would have wanted it to be smooth for me, so it's important to me that it's at least a somewhat decent transition, but it's very technical, and I had to like write a whole script for it.
Well, I was gonna say it's like being on the leadership for like any sort of like warehouse job or anything like that. Like when you step away to like pick like a different job or something along the lines of that, obviously they're gonna have the new guy like ready to go, but like you want to make sure that like, hey, this is how things are done. Like, things are obviously gonna be different because you're not the one running it, but also like you want to make sure that the next guy, that steps up, they're like, okay, so this is how this is done. We do this, that's how you do this kind of thing. If you have any issues with this, like you want to make it as smooth as you can, but also make sure that like it's still theirs at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's been so long since I'd been in the back end of this website. Like I was just getting so many flashbacks to when I was, a child.
Yep.
And all the new kids are like running it so much better than we ever did. We were having like these very intense power struggles as like 12-year-olds. They should not have given us administrative power over.
Oh no, they
website.
They even
even a website that doesn't really like, matter in the grand scheme of things, other than it being like a creative outlet for us. It was still like we had authority over each other, and there was a hierarchy, and that was where everything went wrong.
And that's where the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, exactly. And isn't it always? But all that to say, I've been reminded lately of just how long I've been on the internet, and it's a bit scary.
Oh no, trust me. I get that vibe. I haven't been on the internet as long in that sense or whatnot. I mean, obviously, like, whenever you're in middle school or high school or whatnot, you always had like access to the internet in the first place. But being like a presence on there, it's always surreal whenever someone whenever someone acknowledges something that even you didn't even remember like 5-10 years ago that you did. And it's just like, oh God, I did do that. God, why is that out there?
And you can't scrub it at all.
You can't. No.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And you it's very surreal to exist.
I would say I feel that way about a couple of the older episodes of the podcast. Not that I'm ashamed of them, but like I look back and I'm just like, God, I've gotten so much better like at this thing that I could, if I could go back with the knowledge that I have now, the podcast would be so much better.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, like looking at just old things that I've made in general, whether it's drawing or like the quality of like sound design and voice acting and stuff that I've done. It's always a curse. That's why I try not to, as much as I love to like self-reference, I try to just like
keep moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you don't, you can just like totally tread water. But I definitely I have the little goblin in my head screaming at me all the time to like, you could redo this and it could really like have a second chance, and I'm like, no, you gotta keep going.
Trust me, I have that same mentality. That's why I've been more than happy to bring back a couple of guests from the podcast that I've had early on or whatnot.
Yeah, like that never hurts, right? And then you have multiple, and
exactly.
Then,
like, do you know how surreal it is to bring back your first guest that you brought on the podcast over 200 episodes after that first recording?
God.
Like
that's so cool.
That was a surreal moment for me when I brought Super D back on the podcast for like episode 201 or whatnot. It's like, 200 episodes later, look at where we both are because we've both grown so much.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That must have been really emotional.
Oh, it was. Like, at least for me, it really was. Like, because I've always... He was part of the reason why I even started the podcast in the first place.
Of course.
Yeah, because like whenever I first had the thought about it, like I put, some names out there into the world, and he was one of the first people that was like, yeah, I'd be totally down for it. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this can be a thing. Let's do it.
Yeah, you never know if like people are going to be interested or not in like anything that you're doing, and then when they are, it's like, oh, Okay.
Trust me, I still have that sentiment to this day. And again, I've done over 250 episodes at this point. I still have that sentiment no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, you have such a body of work. It's really incredible. And yeah, in like a relatively short amount of time in the grand scheme of the internet, that's extremely impressive.
At this point, it's like a blip compared to like all the major events that have happened throughout the internet.
Yeah.
I'm just this cozy little like pixel in like the corner. Is just like, hey, so we got these cool people. If you guys want to see them, they're chatting, they're cool. You guys should love them too.
But that's always that was what was appealing to me about it in the first place, is that it was just this little like it's the corner, you know, like you said. It's a cozy corner, and it's a fun place to be.
Well, I appreciate that sentiment, and I appreciate that now you're a part of that corner. So get in here, you're part of the pixel. We have some snacks in the corner.
Yay.
I will go ahead and ask this just to be 100% sure. I'm pretty sure it's fairly straightforward, but it's better to ask than just to assume. Your name, Tucker Wooley, right? Okay. I know if it was like Tucker Wooley or some weird pronunciation like that.
No, it's woolly like the sheep.
There you go.
And yeah, that's what it's always been. But yeah, I've had some weird pronunciations in like class roll call and stuff like that in the past. And I always am kind of delighted to see what people come up with.
I never had weird pronunciations because I mean Nathan's a fairly simple and straightforward name more than anything else. However, I think it was my first grade teacher or whatnot gave me like we were given like notebooks at like the beginning of the semester, and like my name is spelled very simple like you would imagine it, Nathan. For some reason, she put instead of the second A, it was an E, so it was an Nathen. I'm like,
I've never seen that before.
Exactly, right? It's like Nathan.
Yeah, he was like phonetically doing it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's like a horse trying to continue the story after being interrupted. Nay, then.
Nay. That's really good.
Thank you. All right, Tucker, before we really do get going, I must ask the icebreaker question of the podcast, if I may. Let's say you get to go to a deserted island on your own accord. It's just you alone with your thoughts. You get to kick back, relax, breathe, get to really enjoy yourself for a little bit with accommodations. I shouldn't say deserted island, more like a personal B&B paradise away from society for a little bit. To make sure you
Sounds nice.
I know, right? Especially in today's economy.
Kind of need that.
Yeah, absolutely. But to make sure you don't go completely insane on this island, you can bring one piece of media or one piece of art with you to help with whatever kind of headspace you want on this island. If given this opportunity, what would that one piece be?
My enrichment in my enclosure, I think would be. I've waffled for a while between Adventure Time and Steven Universe.
Okay.
Those shows are both like formative enough to me, and also like long and like varied enough that that I would probably be able to like, milk that for entertainment value for a while. I mean, by the time it takes at Adventure Time, especially, there's like 9 seasons of it, and so by the time you get through it, you'd kind of forget what happened,
and that's not including all the spin-off stuff that they're still working on to this day.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't even know if any of that would be included in the roundup. Like if I could just take one series, it would probably be like the original series if I'm going for longevity, but also for sentimental value, I think also.
I can imagine.
But yeah, I think probably those are kind of easy answers, but I think they're enough part of my DNA where I would probably want to have them around. I was just watching some old episodes of Adventure Time with my partner yesterday. As I was trying desperately to entertain them, they're back at their dad's house, and I'm like, oh, I gotta be their enrichment for a while, and so I was like, okay, I've made a small playlist of weird little one-off Adventure Time episodes. We watched the one One of my favorites is called The Hard Easy, I think it's called, and it's where they're trying to find the mega frog.
Right.
Yeah, with the little mud scamps in the beginning, the little fish with legs, who have the funny voice acting, and yeah, for some reason, Bill Murray's brother, who voices Captain Knuckles, shows up at the end, and he's like just doing the Captain Knuckles voice. It's a weird little one-off episode.
I'm trying to think what his name is off the top of my head. It's like in the like Joel Murray or something along the lines of that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I'll remember it in the middle of the night, I'm sure.
Right. It's like you're gonna be talking about something to do with like gendermation or something along the lines of that, and then you'll be like, no, it is Joel Murray. You were right.
Yeah. That is always what happens. I'm trying to do all these logistical things, and it's my first rodeo doing any of those logistical things,
right?
Especially for Gendermation, and then like a complete non sequitur will. I'm like the squirrel dog. Squirrel.
Hi there. No, I mean. I will say, going back to like the original point or whatnot, like honestly, either one of those shows, Steven Universe or Adventure Time, like both just for like the candid, like you said, the one-off episodes or like the long-term storytelling that you can like invest yourself in, especially with Adventure Time. Like I don't think anyone, when they were watching even like the first season, realized how deep the lore was going to get as the show kept going along more than anything else.
It was, I mean, formative again. I'll use that word because like when I was watching it as a kid and I realized like, wait, they're doing continuity.
Yeah.
But in kind of an in between way at first, like they're like they have it, but it's not like completely slapping you in the face. And then there's also room for all of these just really weird. The one I always think about as like a complete non sequitur in that show is the one where Jake's tail, they reveal that Jake's tail sometimes develops a mind of its own and goes and stretches to join a bug circus.
Right.
and that's just the kind of episode that you can have when you have 9 seasons of a show.
Exactly.
You know? When you're like the longest running thing on Cartoon Network, and it's like, no, nowadays things are only getting like 8 episodes a season, and there's no room for any weird stuff to happen anymore. But all those things like just contribute to the texture of the show, and it's quite amazing how they kind of work in tandem, all the serialized stuff and the like super non sequitur non-serialized stuff. They all coalesce into this thing that's a lot more rounded out because each one of those elements is there.
Absolutely. Plus, little side tangent, I couldn't help but think whenever you mentioned like how some series they only get like 8 episodes or what, it just reminds me of the Owl House quote more than anything else. Of like, wouldn't you like, a day at the beach? I would if we had about 20 more adventures, but we can't.
I'm so glad they got that in there because like it's just an opportunity to be meta, and like because of course they're thinking about that like when they're having to do these episodes, and the fact that they were able to do those episodes with so much like narrative cohesion, and like to me they didn't really feel rushed or anything, even though like they definitely
were definitely rushed, especially for that final season. But like the fact that it flew, that like it the way that it kind of flowed and like was fairly smooth from like episode to episode, and like you didn't, even if there was a little bit of rush, it wasn't something that was like on the forefront because the way they were telling the story was just very narratively like made sense, and like the timing was great.
They stuck the landing, I think.
Yes.
And that's, I mean, impossible to do even when you have enough episodes, but like, or as many as you thought you were getting to begin with, I should say. Mm-hmm. But like, I think also part of it was like the 45-minute or whatever they were runtime of those. Right.
The basically extended episodes.
Yeah, exactly. And even though that is truncated in relative to what they wanted to do, it still kind of felt like special, like you were watching little movies. And so I think that kind of like softened it a little bit from like an audience perspective, which I think was probably a good move on both the creative part and then also like the executive part, who were trying to like give them kind of a consolation prize and also sort of give us a consolation prize.
Exactly. Exactly.
So many conversations behind the scenes, I'm sure.
Oh, trust me, more than we'll probably ever know for years on end until.
Yeah.
Until someone does like a tell-all book that both sides have to be like, there's some truth to it.
Yeah, exactly. Feels like Knights of Guinevere is kind of that, but still in it's encoded a bit.
It's definitely the subtle jab more than anything else when it comes to the entire situation at the end of the day, while also being an incredible story on its own.
Yeah, right. And the fact that it can do both is just amazing.
Absolutely. That is a testament to that writing team more than anything else.
Yeah, completely. They're wild.
But regardless, back to the original question, either Adventure Time or Steven Universe. That's your answer. You're locking that in.
Locking that in, probably. Yeah, we've talked about it enough, I think, where I can be confident.
Then if that's the case, I cannot think of a better way to start the Postmodern Art Podcast. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, Nathan Ragland. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. You look fantastic in the merch we have at the merch shop, fourthwall.com. Link to that is in the description below. And follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and most social media platforms at Postmod Art Pod for future updates and guest announcements, including today's guest. They are an animator, storyboard artist, comic artist, video essayist, poet, film festival curator, and the freakazoid unapologetically in your computer. Welcome to the podcast, the ever incredible Tucker Wooley.
That is amazing. I feel like I'm gonna start wrestling now.
Well, as a wrestling fan, I think that's a good compliment on my end.
Have you considered doing that before?
Oh my God, I would. If I could figure out a way to get into it, I would absolutely love to more than anything else. Like, I mean,
there are lots of indie promotions.
I know. I constantly, like, especially where I am. There's one that I frequent. In fact, I went to one like the day after my birthday this month. It's called Classic City Wrestling. Very fantastic promotion. I love how they do that kind of stuff more than anything else. But yeah, no, maybe I should find a way to reach out and be like, hey, do you guys need an announcer?
Yeah, right. And I'm sure they would, at least, that would be really cool.
At least entertain the possibility at the end of the day. But regardless,
yesterday, my quick tangent. Just yesterday, speaking of wrestling, I didn't make it over there because I am doing like public transit in LA. I don't drive, so everything takes like 3 hours for me to get to. And it's kind of a crapshoot whether or not I can make it to things sometimes. But I try my best. But regardless, yesterday, a few people I know were in this like trans only wrestling promotion thing that they had at this weird DIY venue. It's like a total punk house in East LA. It's got like an outhouse for a bathroom. It's like Shrek style. It's quite something. But and so perfect place to have a bunch of trans people wrestle each other. They set up a whole ring. It looked incredible. And Vera, who I worked with on The People's Joker, was like commentating, doing the announcing and stuff. And I was like, wait a minute. I never thought about that before, but that's completely perfect.
No, it is.
I'm sure she completely killed that.
No, absolutely. I cannot tell you how much I love seeing the inclusivity. As a wrestling fan, I love seeing the inclusivity, and I try to promote that as well with some of the people that I've brought on the podcast as well. Like some of them, I was gonna say the biggest example I can think of is Noah Vale, a trans wrestler based out of Florida of all places, where that kind of stuff is not exactly smiled upon in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah. How hard must that be? And then to do something so physically demanding.
Oh yeah, no. Like it's a little bit of like it's a challenge that they take on every single time they get into the ring. More than anything else.
On multiple levels.
Absolutely. But again, we are here for you, Tucker Wooley. I will start by asking this: how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited to be on, you know. We were talking earlier, like I've been watching for a while, so actually being on is kind of surreal. It's tickling me.
Well, I sincerely do appreciate that sentiment in return. Like, I've certainly seen you like showing some love for the podcast in one form or fashion, and especially seeing just what you're doing in general, not just with the love and support of the podcast, but also like how you're setting up platforms, how you're, bringing out your voice as best you can or whatnot. Like, you're doing some incredible stuff out there that I definitely wanted to give you the platform to talk about all that and then some, because I just can't help but love and appreciate what you do on all fronts in one form or fashion. But before we talk, oh, absolutely. But before we talk about the stuff you're doing nowadays, I want to go back just a little bit and learn more or less the origin story of Tucker. What got you interested in art and animation and such in the first place?
I mean, like, I've been drawing forever, and like, yeah, it's just something that I always did, in like spiral bound notebooks and stuff that I still like have a lot of those even, rotting in the garage. But yeah, I mean, it's just something that I always did. I would like make comics with my friends, and we would like photocopy them and like distribute them around the elementary school and stuff.
Oh, that's
like that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's, I mean, amazing outlet, right?
Right.
And then I mentioned this earlier, but like I grew up on this this website where you basically like make fake like wiki articles for fake video games,
right?
And you're developing the video game like just within the context of that article, and like any pictures that you make, like we were very amateur, like Photoshop. I mean, a lot of us didn't even have Photoshop,
right?
Because we were 10, 11, 12. And so mostly like I was using Microsoft Paint. I was using like the not even like the pencil tool. I was like dragging things around with the like polygon tool or whatever that one is. It was completely inefficient and crazy. And the way that I do things now is also kind of inefficient and crazy, but not quite to that extent anymore. But like, so the comics with my friends, that was definitely like a tentpole outlet. Fantendo was like definitely a tentpole outlet. And certainly like in terms of posting stuff online, you know. And also on that website, we were such a bubble, and it still kind of is, miraculously, and it's existed for like 20 years now. But like there would be some trolls like sometimes, but not nearly to the degree that you would expect, in especially nowadays when like cringe compilations and stuff like that are so prevalent. And like it's a gold mine of that, which is not a bad thing, you know. And like all of it is children, you know, making stuff pretty much. So it's like you know, it should be it should have that quality. And it's beautiful, and it still is.
You can tell there was at least like an ounce of innocence with what you guys were doing, especially back then. At the end of the day.
Completely. Yeah, it's like the purest form. And I think about the comics too, in like but in the non-digital way. But that was also just like completely pure and completely you know, for free, like completely anti profit generation, even especially with the like fan fiction and fan art and stuff like that. It's inherently against selling it, you know. In a lot of ways. Nor would we want to, and we're all like, you know, using each other's stuff and you know, making stuff about each other's characters and stuff. So yeah, those were things that like stand out as kind of tentpole artistic things for me. And then in school, I went to a small art school here in LA, and I did not love it. It institutionally, very flawed. I mean,
Right.
I think all of them kind of are, but like there were some unique issues that we had that I got more and more entrenched in as the 4 years went on.
Right.
And yeah, never do. I mean, you should do student advocacy stuff, but it will also make you tear your hair out.
I trust me, as someone that went to school for filmmaking or whatnot and didn't exactly get my degree just because of how the institution was run more than anything else, and also because of my own mental health that I was paying poor attention to at the time or whatnot. Yeah, no, I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah, it does not incentivize you to take good care of yourself. They're kind of grooming you to be a good capitalist worker, and because of that, they're not thinking about like sustainability and stuff like that. So I was, and I'm sure you did too, just like watching people drop left and right,
Oh yeah.
And
I was watching myself drop half the time. Right?
Yeah, no, me too completely. I mean, it's a miracle that I made it through it all.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that the other people I know who did made it through. And it's definitely not a mark of weakness if you don't make it through. It's not like a personal strength thing. It's just it's not set up for you to really succeed. They do kind of prefer if they can skim you off the top a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Which is definitely what was happening. Like people, we had a really hard first year in the program that I was in. It was like the foundation year, which I don't even know if that's a thing anymore there. But at least during my time, the foundation year was designed to kind of weed out people who couldn't handle it again.
Yeah, trying to see who really was desperate enough to do that kind of thing on more front compared to people that just thought, oh, this would be a fun thing to do, Yeah,
exactly. And I think they were definitely like accepting more people than were actually like ready for it. Again, I don't say I don't use the term like ready or being able to handle it as like a quality, a mark of quality or anything on the human being. It's
just the way that it was just the way that the system was set up whenever you went in there more than anything else. Yes. Like you could certainly tell that they were looking for a particular kind of worker when it came to that kind of thing, a particular kind of mentality that some people can easily thrive in while others not as much.
And it helps if you're already bringing a little bit of that into it, going in, which a lot of people I knew were had more like formal training in like high school and stuff. They were coming from all different parts of the world. Yep. So anyway, all that to say, like my it was immediately kind of stifling for me, and so I was just trying to use my access to the materials that I could never afford, and stuff like that to my advantage, and just like posting stuff. And I also definitely during the pandemic, that was kind of a tent pole moment absolutely. For me, where I was, I mean, all of us, we didn't have anything to do, so we were there was nothing I could do but like retreat inward and then try to put that out there. But again, like the only way you can put it out there is through the internet, which came pretty naturally to me. Like I was already pretty used to that, having grown up on places that did that, but it never really breached containment, and so and still really hasn't in a way, and I don't really ever expect it to in like a mainstream capacity. But I think that's kind of the beauty of the internet, is that you can have these little bubbles, and they can interact with each other. The potential is there, but it's not like a total prerequisite.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I did want to go back just a little bit before we delve too much into the college aspect of it, because there were some things I wanted to ask previously when it came to like the first things that you were talking about or whatnot. Mainly,
yes, please.
The comics and the fake Nintendo games or whatnot. Like, I was at least curious when it comes to those, because I can imagine there's probably a million different ideas that you put into that or whatnot. Do you remember any of like at least your personal favorites when it came to both fronts, like the comics that you put out as well as again like the fake Nintendo games that you created?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, because I was talking about this with my partner the other night. Like they were showing me things that they had drawn, like old notebooks that they had from when they were a toddler. And stuff.
Wow.
And I have some of those, but they are, like I said, like rotting in the garage.
Right.
But like my partner just moved back in with their dad, so they were like uncovering all of these relics, Indiana Jones style of their
this belongs in the museum.
Yeah, exactly. That whole apartment is just a museum of them, you know. And going through it has been just completely fascinating. And so is this. I mean, this is my childhood home, so like there's all this stuff here. And so I was trying to like draw some of they were showing me all this stuff that they had because we were on their turf, and I was like, I wonder if I can remember any of those guys. And sure enough, like, when I have a horrible memory when it comes to everything else, but when it comes to like my own Blorbos, it's like a steel trap.
There you go.
I just started drawing these guys. And they were, I was really into like the Bob-omb Mario enemy, and I thought that like bombs, and I mean, surely for some people, unfortunately, they are kind of a commonplace part of life. But I think cartoons made me think that bombs were going to be more relevant than they were, but specifically like the like black round
the classic like cartoony style bomb that we all see in like every single cartoon.
Yes, with a fuse on it that you light on fire.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, that kind of thing. I that and like quicksand and other things like that.
The stuff that in media is like scary, but in a silly way, not the actual horrors and feels that is real life society.
Exactly. Yeah, it's much it's much more boring and the banality of evil in those.
It's much more dread inducing these days.
Yeah, but also haven't really encountered things like quicksand in real life.
Yeah, you would think there's more of it with how much it was in the media at one point.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's I think media prepared me for a different experience. I did encounter quicksand one time though.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that was or at least it acted like quicksand.
Okay.
My mom and my friend and I were on vacation, and we were trying to like go around this lake because we were being chased by cows.
Oh, lovely.
There was a herd of cows, and one of them with like big cartoon horns. They had like blocked our path back to the place that we were going, and it like scraped the ground like about to charge at us. And my mom is like 90 pounds and I'm a child at this point, so is my friend. And so we're like, okay, we're gonna go around, but we had to go around this like body of water. It was probably technically like a pond, but it was pretty big. Like you could take like a kayak out into it,
right?
Or a canoe or whatever. And I encountered some quicksand. I started sinking in the sand around this body of water, and I was like, oh, that's where it comes in.
See, cartoons prepared you. Now imagine they prepared you for real life horrors like doing taxes. Oh goodness. But no, but it's so funny that you mentioned like like I can only imagine how like the classic bomb or whatnot could be an inspiration for some of the comics and such.
and my guys were very much like just Mario bob-ombs with the serial numbers filed off, you know, and with a little bit more like character customization.
Okay.
And I hadn't even like played the Paper Mario games at that point.
Oh wow. Yet. Okay.
So when I did, I was like, oh wait a minute, these are like doing what I was doing in the.
They stole my idea.
Yeah. No, but they also predated my thing.
Right.
For a few years. But yeah, definitely, I felt seen in a weird way. But yeah, they were the bombs. There were a lot of weird guys. It was definitely like there were aspects of like the Simpsons in that kind of, in that they lived in like this like where they lived had their own like Hollywood sign. It was Bombville.
Nice.
Yeah, which was also very inspired by the Bone comics. I was really into those from Scholastic book fairs and such.
Obviously.
So I was thinking about Boneville in that context. So yeah, it had shades of Bone, shades of The Simpsons, shades of like Homestar Runner. I was raised on that. I had some cool older cousins who like introduced me to those. And like Neopets and stuff like that. They were like getting me on the early internet. They're definitely
there you go.
Why I'm here today. But yeah, so that was that thing. And that was like a long running series, and like I said, friends of mine would participate in that. They would draw their own. Mm-hmm. And so we like shared these characters and developed them together and stuff like that. And having that happen completely organically, and in real life, gave me a good example for that to happen like pretty soon after online, you know, where we were just doing that, but all across the world, you know? And I'm still friends with a lot of those people. You know, we've all grown up together, so we have a couple Discords that we're still banging around in.
Are you guys plotting the newest Bombville series or whatnot?
You know, I have a habit of at least with my own stuff, I resuscitate old characters like all the time,
right?
Completely all the time. And there's plenty of stuff like when I was helping Fantando's trying to move websites, basically they're trying to like move platforms, and I was kind of helping the current crop of kids with that process, and a couple of them were like, oh my god, yeah, you made this thing that is still like on the wiki, like still like a known thing kind of on the wiki, and they probably hadn't really connected it to me as a person, you know, like before that point.
Right.
But they were like, oh, you made this thing. The thing that they were referencing was also like a complete joke thing. It wasn't even like a serious artistic expression on my part. I had made this the thing to do on Fantando was like and DeviantArt too, for sure, was like recolors, they called them. So you would, and it was the easiest thing to do. You literally just like go into Photoshop or whatever, change the color on this character render of Mario, and then it's like blue Mario and it's a different guy, you know? And I mean, I guess like that's kind of what Luigi was originally, until they like extrapolated him. And so the internet version of that was us doing just like I had a character who was just like green Tom Nook.
Green Tom Nook. Oh,
like
goodness.
Literally, he was called something else. Yeah. He was called something else, but he was he was just Green Tom Nook. And so I had done that once as a joke, with an image of the snail from that movie Turbo.
Yeah.
Because even and that was like closer to when that movie actually came out, and I thought it was so stupid, and so silly. And so I had like taken Turbo and I had made him into a character that I called Snaily Joe. And he had his own lore on Fantendo. And apparently, yeah, Snaily Joe has persisted on that website like far past me, which I never thought would happen. I thought I was the only person on Earth who remembered Snaily Joe, and like my friends who were there at the time who I still talk to. And we would sometimes, like in our own group chats, make jokes about Snaily Joe, like weird references that were just for us. But yeah, apparently there's these kids who like know who Snaily Joe is. And I actually am kind of planning to do something with Snaily Joe.
Okay.
But again, like it's only for me. Like there are references that are pretty much only for me and like maybe 9 other people on Earth. But apparently, yeah, there are these kids who remember that. So I guess if they choose to follow whatever weird stuff I'm doing, which I don't know why they would, but they would see, oh, there's like this weird Snaily Joe spiritual successor who has cropped up in this indie cartoon thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Snailer Joseph.
Yeah, literally.
That's the one thing I've always noticed when it comes to artists. It's never the stuff that they put a lot of time and effort into. It's the stuff that becomes like a weird one-off joke that somehow has a lasting, existence online than they anticipated.
Completely. Yeah, completely. It and I think that's beautiful when it takes on a life of its own. And it resonates with people. You never know.
Exactly.
But it is very strange when you've put many hours into something, and then the thing that you spent 5 seconds on is the one that gets the most attention.
Exactly.
For many tales of this, and I certainly have my own. But yeah, those are kind of Fantendo, and then like my old comics in a nutshell.
Right. I can only imagine with those being kind of more or less like the platform that would lead to the later stuff that you would get yourself invested into or whatnot. I'm curious, when did it for you go from something that you loved and something that you just had fun with or whatnot to a passion and truly wanting to make it your career? Like, when did you know for sure to like, I want to be an artist? That is like my life, point blank.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about at Adventure Time earlier, and I think like when shows like that and Steven and like Gravity Falls, those early 2010s like cartoons, which in the grand scheme of things, like they definitely had more like serialization and like queer stuff in them, and stuff like that make them stand out. However, like they're not that much different from what came before, at least from a production standpoint. However, like for me, it was harder because the internet wasn't around for quite as long and people were less established on it. It was harder to find like the artists who were involved in those things. They weren't necessarily on social media in the same ways. Whereas like I got really into Adventure Time, and then I discovered pretty quickly as a person who was really online, that they just have like a production blog, and it's still up. It's on Tumblr. Yeah. King of Ooh. I was showing my partner yesterday, and they just like would post full storyboards for like the episodes, and I was like, wait, this is crazy. Yeah, because like the animation industry can be very tight-lipped. I find it more in like featured stuff than,
absolutely,
than TV. But like even still, like I would be looking for, I was really into like Billy and Mandy, and like Courage and all those. lot of like Nickelodeon stuff, like Hey Arnold and stuff, and like Maxwell Adams, who has been on the show, and Craig Bartlett are like posting all sorts of things now, which is incredible, and I'm so glad. It's such a treat for me because it's stuff that I always wanted to see back in the day, but they just weren't really on the internet in the same way. It wasn't as much of a thing, and like I said, the animation industry can be very secretive for what I consider to be kind of no reason. It's just sort of like an intellectual. It seems like more of a studio thing than an artist.
I feel like that's definitely the case. In fact, that for a lot of these studios, like this is how they get their, the advertisers to put down money on their stuff at the end of the day.
Yeah. Plus, if you can put it all in an art book in 10, 20 years, and have that be the exclusive way to get that information,
right?
I can sell that for $60. I can see that being, a good money-making strategy,
a good investment at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. However, like for me, and there are a lot of things in like the Steven and Adventure Time art books that aren't online, but for me, kind of the novelty of those is just having those all collected and like being able to see them in print, and also like the commentary behind them. So like, I still bought those because I like those things.
Yeah.
So like, even though a lot of it is publicly available, so I don't think it's as much of a linchpin like selling point thing as they might think. But that's just me.
No,
but anyway, I was seeing, full boards for Adventure Time episodes, full boards for Steven episodes, and I was like, oh, this is kind of like in between animating and making comics, which I already do. And I didn't know this was how it worked because they weren't posting these things really before now. And now they are. And I'm like seeing it for things that I am actively a fan of and like talking about online on Tumblr and stuff. And so I was like, I think I want to try to do this.
Right.
And then also like in the same vein of like people posting stuff and that being important, storyboard artists used to be so again, the internet wasn't being used in the same way, but,
right.
But now I was like going down this rabbit hole, especially because every Adventure Time and Steven episode are like very distinct to the people who boarded them, like you can tell. And as I got more and more autistic about these shows, I like I could tell like who drew them from like a out of context frame,
especially with like Adventure Time, definitely, but especially Steven Universe, with just the different ways that they would draw Steven throughout the entire entire run of it.
Yeah, exactly. And you can, and for some people, certainly for me at the time, you could take just an out of context screenshot of that, and I could be like, oh, that's like a Raven episode, and it was weird, like, but it was also it was really cool to me, and I liked that you could leave your fingerprints on it, and I was like, oh, I want to do that. Like that sounds like a good way to do it. I don't want it to completely be homogenous to the brand of the thing. I think it's nice to be able to leave your fingerprints on it, and it seems like now they're getting even a little more control over it with things being more and more board driven. And of course, the second I really like get locked in on like wanting to do that, and then also get some like formal training in doing that, the world explodes.
Yep.
And the industry explodes, and that it quickly becomes the hardest thing ever to get a job in, and and then also there are no jobs, and also they're not doing cartoons like that anymore or at least as much. So I was, it was a huge blow, you know, because I had finally like set my sights on something. I had been sort of like, you know, drifting. My portfolio when I applied to art school was like totally all over the place. There
I
was
can imagine.
some animation stuff. There was some, it was mostly just like illustration.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of what I was tailoring it toward. I wasn't even really like, you know, I didn't have any storyboards because I just didn't have access to that. Of course you can do it on paper, but I didn't like that. You know, I was trying to like hone my digital skills.
Right.
And certainly school helped with that. But, you know, I just didn't have a lot of stuff. By then I had to survive high school.
Yep.
And, I don't know how anybody goes into like CalArt, these crazy portfolios and these sketchbooks that they have to like groom so much that it's barely even a sketchbook anymore. It's like so beautiful. I mean, it's amazing. You know?
Absolutely.
And I've watched so many of those, like look through my CalArts application sketchbook thing videos, you know, and I'm like, oh my God. But anyway, they the world blew up. So I couldn't really, I already didn't think I had a great chance of breaking into that industry, you know, increasingly over the years. But by the time I was actually like ready by my standards,
mm-hmm.
And even then, not really. It just seemed completely impossible. So I was like, what do I do now?
Yep.
And it's like I haven't completely given up on that,
right.
As an avenue to go down. But I have just like transitioned into doing it completely for myself, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I get the odd freelance thing here or there, and you know, more these days than I had been previously. But like, you know, I'm mostly just grinding on it myself and trying to like, you know, do animatics, do animation, doing like a lot more just like full animation now, because I'm kind of like, I can do it semi efficiently now, and I'm kind of like, well, I might as well, you know. People do still kind of prefer that to animatics, although I do extremely appreciate the animatic renaissance that is happening, or was sort of happening a little bit more a year or two ago.
I think it kind of still is happening, because I think for a lot of people, like the animatic, it allows them to fully tell the story that they want to without doing all the extra, like, you know, the extra hard stuff that would require more of a team to do so. Like, I know people are still out there creatively wanting to tell their story at the end of the day, and especially having like the storyboards tell the main story or whatnot, while letting the people's mind kind of fill in like the in-betweens or whatnot. Like, I think it's a good, efficient way for people if they really want to tell that story as soon as they can, especially if they've been grinding on it for like years on end.
It's so much more humane on the artist, you know, as
absolutely.
Well. It's and that being said, the definition of the popular definition of an animatic is pretty polished and basically just keyframes now, compared to what it probably should be to be like really humane. But you know, that I can see the needle kind of going the more humane direction on that now. I'll say that has been noted.
There's definitely a bit of a range when it comes to what people will consider animatics at the end of the day. Yes. At the end, you know, more than anything else. No, I was gonna say, one of the things I do appreciate, especially the more you were talking about, like, you know, getting into animation and all the different aspects that kind of opened your eyes. You know, whenever I started this episode, I had the giant list of stuff that I had you as animator, storyboard artist, comic artist, you know, all that kind of stuff. And the more you talk, the more I realize that's not just you like adding a notch to like your title or whatnot. That's just all like an interconnected way of you being able to express yourself in one form or fashion. Cause like obviously animation is where the love initially came from and whatnot, but then realizing that, you know, like, and comics were a way for you to be able to express yourself in the only way you knew how to, especially whenever you were younger or whatnot.
Right.
But especially as you got older, realizing that storyboard artist is as a thing, getting a chance to apply that and wanting to do that and such. You know, I mentioned that you were a video essayist, like especially hearing how much you talk about like the animation and like the you know, I can see how that love and admiration for how things are done and wanting to see how the people do that kind of thing can lead into kind of the mentality of how to think about these things and wanting to express that when it comes to some of the video essays you put out there. Like it's incredible. It must be incredible and kind of surreal to think that, like, again, you have all these different things that you kind of applied yourself to when it comes to art, but also like how interconnected it is at the end of the day to just how much you love this thing in the first place.
Yeah, the skills are extremely transferable, even like between completely different mediums, I find. And especially in like a writing way, because everything I do is like very written, probably overwritten, in a lot of people's correct opinions. And you know, it all, my being able to do a video essay does kind of translate into being able to tell a narrative, you know, fiction story, you know, in the various ways that I do that, because it's all a version of communicating, you know, and like trying to make a complete coherent thought. And you know, you can do that in a lot of different ways, and I try to just do it in all the ways that seem fun to me. There are pros and cons to all of them, but
obviously
and these are all just things that I was just like, you know, I'll try this and see if I like it, and then you know, I did it enough to want to put it on my business card or whatever.
Business card, website, social media, all that jazz, you know?
Yeah. It's all just one big business card at the end of the day, for better and for worse. But
I was gonna say I loved how also you mentioned that, like, you know, that kind of you know, the way you kind of express yourself. I love how you said, you know, I probably over explain everything, and rightfully so. I couldn't help but think of like how at least for me jokingly, the way you probably best emphasize that, and that is with this incredible indie animated concept that you've put out there into the world that I wanted to talk about so badly. I want to hear about PigBog's Kingdom more than anything else. For those who have no idea what world we're even talking about in the first place, what is the best way you can summarize what PigBog's Kingdom is about?
Yeah, so it's an idea for an animated series that is represented in, there's a few animatics. There's a bunch of like standalone illustrations and stuff that I've put on like Instagram and all over the place. The main text for it is literally this 100+ page book.
112 pages.
Thank you.
I made sure to look through it as well to get prepared for this.
It's a beast. Nothing should be that long. I definitely I made it that long partially out of spite, which I'll get to. But it was a school project partially, and you know, everybody was telling me, you know, pare it down, make, you know, pitch materials, and for good reason. I think it's not like inherently stifling to say that you should have something be accessible, you know. However, I found with this idea in particular, that the more people were telling me to pare it down, the more of a contrarian I became. So it ballooned into this thing. And that was also the peak of me being just over art school and over my teachers and stuff. So
honestly,
I was just like,
extremely valid. Now that I hear that, no, I can understand why it's over 100-something pages long more than anything else.
Everybody was just sort of like, okay, like we know that we're not gonna stop you at this point. And I kind of like that was a weird like power trip on my end to be able to just continue doing this thing unabated, and that was kind of this expression of me. But anyway, tangent. It's the main thing for it is this book that is a pitch document, but rather than being a traditional pitch document that's only like 10 or so pages, this thing is like 100 pages. And it's partially that way out of spite, and it's partially that way because as an extension of all the stuff that we were doing as kids on Fantendo, like the article and the images associated with that, but not even all of the articles had images associated with them. Those were the medium that you were communicating this. You had to paint the idea of this video game within the article itself. The goal was to be able to, you were supposed to be able to imagine this game based on the meta, Wikipedia article of it. And so this was like, I have no idea if I'm ever going to actually be able to make this show, and I'm not going to necessarily like bank on that, because people go into extreme debt, and there's a million Kickstarters, especially right now in this moment. And I think that's amazing, and like so many of them are like very successful. So clearly it's like become more of a viable thing to want to do. But also, like, I was a college student at the time, and I'm like, I can't do that. I can't set up a Kickstarter right now. I got to get through tomorrow. And so, instead of that, I was just like, I want to make this the ultimate expression of this idea that I have, so that if it never becomes anything else, then this can be the de facto kind of text for it. But I've even sort of broken that conceit because like, A, it's just so long, and B, like it's still kind of in progress. Like I'm there's like 6 seasons in my head, and I've written down 4 of them basically. So 5 and 6 are still in the works.
There you go.
And I'll put out the bonus pages for that someday. Mostly when I finish I have like pretty much everything written down, but I like to do these big illustrations along with each season to kind of give an idea.
Illustrate the point of what the season's probably going to be about.
Yeah, literally. And I like to do those along with the giant walls of text, so that it's not just giant walls of text. Although I do love giant wall of text. So I'm working on those, and have been for a while.
I was going to say, now, if people have no idea what in the world you're even talking about in the first place, how would you describe PigBog's Kingdom?
Well, the show itself is pretty simple. It's about these teenage fantasy villains who were trying to take over the world in this sort of D&D inspired world. And they're hyper ambitious, and the main guy, PigBog, is sort of like a cross between Ganondorf and Bowser. He's this like really, really angry, really not well adjusted little goat boy who lives in a big castle cut off from the rest of the world, and he's raised by a cult who are just these three guys who are kind of like the like abusive male dark versions of Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl. Kind of. They're just these old men who wear robes and are trying to shepherd him into being the ruler of the world.
Right.
But he wants to do it his own way, and also they won't let him like go outside. So that's kind of the conflict of the like very beginning of the show, is that this inciting incident happens. It's like a total RPG plot. There's this like magic crystal that's very central to the world, and it splits into a bunch of parts, and it says like, collect me and you'll get a wish like a Dragon Ball. And PigBog is like, this is perfect. I want to go out and do the thing that you're telling me to do. And they're like, no, you got to be older. You got to be more experienced. You got to be more this way and that way. And he gets sick of that. And a few episodes in, he runs away from home, and he's joined by a couple of his minions, one of whom is like a clay golem,
right, with
a big rock gem in him that kind of powers him up. And then the other one is like a minion who can like self-replicate. He's based on like he's like the Peter, I'm turning into a marketable plushie meme personified. And his power is that he can literally like self-replicate. So he's constantly making these duplicates of himself. And he's like their weird little mascot. And then there's also this character who they meet early on who is like a monster hunter, and she's like ostensibly on PigBog's team, but she's actually the daughter of this rival demon who wants her to kill PigBog. So she's secretly trying to kill him the whole time. That conflict disappears a couple seasons in, but in kind of an interesting way. But there's this weird little tension there, and but so it's just like it's a fantasy adventure show. It's like very Adventure Time. It's very Steven. It's very it's now kind of playing on it wasn't that nostalgic at the time that I made it. I think I finished the book in like 2021.
Right.
I want to say, because that's when I graduated. But now like Adventure Time's coming back, regular shows coming back. All these 2010s nostalgia projects are
Steven Universe is getting the spin-off series of
Lars.
Yep.
Very, very curious to see what that's going to be. That's going to be really interesting. But like now it's kind of this nostalgia thing. So it's taken on this new tone for me where I'm like, this is the dream of a cartoon, of a kind of cartoon that is not even really being made anymore.
Right.
And even at the time I made it, which wasn't even that long ago.
No, it's 5 years is not as long compared to like how long some of these shows you had admired have been going on. I mean, for goodness sakes, Adventure Time started in like what, 2009, 2008, somewhere around there. Like, yeah. and like Owl House was finishing up, and that was made in kind of a similar way to a lot of those. It was kind of the last gasp. Yeah.
Part of the last gasp of these like heavily board driven 2010 styles shows that they were boarding and then sending the animation to probably South Korea, and doing it that way. So yeah, PigBog is just kind of my ideal version of that, my like fantasy of that, because it may not even be a thing anymore in ways that I never really expected. So yeah.
I was gonna say, like even then, like the way you're talking about it, like I love how it's that fun little blend of the TV shows that you grew up watching that you loved and hold near when it comes to like how they tell the story more than anything else. Plus, I love how you were talking about like the RPG D&D element of it, because especially these days with D&D being on a whole different level when it comes to the love and appreciation more than anything else, like especially getting a story where we kind of get a look on the bad guy side, trying to like, become the ultimate bad guy at the end of the day, at least in theory or whatnot. Like that's a fun little take on both ends of the spectrum when it comes to that series. Like a nice little, again, storyboard driven, like story driven, story of like seeing the bad guy trying to prosper, especially with the unique dynamics that it has with like the clay the clay figure, the one that's actually associated with the one trying to kill a PigBog or whatnot. Like this is all like a fun concept at the end of the day that I know you said you're tinkering with it a little bit here and there, but like I would love to see more of this. I'd love to see you get the opportunity to make this a reality, and especially like going through the pitch Bible, seeing some of like the initial like the inspiration for some of the voices or whatnot. Like, look, I can tell you right now, there was one in particular, I forget what the character's name is, but I saw that the inspiration was Matt Berry, or like the
absolutely.
I know at least one person that I think would be perfect for it. Shout out to my friend Jorge Santiago, better known as Wild online.
Obviously. That's such a no-brainer. I would have totally written him down if I had even thought of that. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Because like I've heard him like do his little Matt Berry impression, and it's like spot on more than anything else. Like it's cool. Very well done. So like, obviously, especially these days where it's a lot easier to get in contact with like trying to get the voice actors or whatnot, like especially with how many people are trying to get their name out there of voice acting, which by the way, demo reel is on my YouTube channel if anyone's curious about some voice acting stuff. It's like,
good stuff.
You can make that could be one of the easier aspects trying to tackle. Obviously the hardest aspect is going to be telling the story, making sure that the stuff is written down at the end of the day. But like, if you really want to make this thing a reality, I can see you easily doing it, especially with like the way you want to tinker it and tell the story at the end of the day.
And it's existed for a long time now, like, the pitch book itself is already like 5 years old. A lot of these characters that I'm using are at least 10 years old. PigBog himself is something that I made in like high school. A lot of those characters, and I also like resuscitate old characters a lot of the time. And PigBog is a big playground where they get to land a lot of those old characters because it feels like an appropriate space for them to be. It's all these old ideas kind of in this new light. So it's nice for me to be able to kind of put them in the same universe and honor that, even if it's just, self-referential just for me. And yeah, like I would love to work with, people to actually like make some version of it. I think anything that I would do would be very incremental still. Because I think that's just the nature of this project, is that it kind of becomes different versions of itself over the years that all kind of take on a life of their own. So I don't think I still don't even really have the resources for like a Kickstarter or anything like that. But as I hopefully gain any money, I could maybe hire some voice actors for animatics and stuff like that. I've always wanted to, and I would be doing it all the time if I did have money to pay people. But like literally the only reason I don't is because I want to be able to pay people, and
absolutely.
People ask me from time to time. Even I sometimes get like just really sweet DMs from people being like, I would do this. Like even I'm volunteering to do this. And the only person I've let do it is my partner, because they were like, let me do this as my birthday present.
There you go.
And I'm like, okay.
Well, I was like, look, I'll be one of the persons where I'm not going to DM you, but I'll just straight up just say like that. Like, look, if you need voice acting for that kind of stuff and there's any role that I can fit in, like I have the mentality of have Mike will travel at least for the first episode. Like I want to do that. Like I want, if there is a place for me, I want to do it just to help you bring this vision to life because I love this vision. This is a very like unique vision that I would love to see like actually go forth and be made to completion to the point where you can make the Kickstarter and then you can pay the people that you properly want to. But like there's a lot of times I've heard people, at least when it comes to like the first episode, the first thing, like sometimes it's all based on, you know, a handshake and, you know, a favor at the end of the day, at least.
Yeah, exactly.
At least for the first step, and everything after that, I can understand if you make the money and you want to pay the people, absolutely go for it.
Yeah,
but like,
especially if it becomes a huge thing. You
exactly.
know, but you know, I do really believe in paying people for their labor, no matter how small it is. But yeah, I mean, like a lot of things I do need to accept the help that is given to me. That is definitely like a running theme in my life.
I was gonna say there's a concept I've been toying around with in my head of an animated series I want to make to reality. I've tinkered with it, but whatnot. It's just I don't even know where to start. Plus, I don't even have remotely the amount of money that I would need to in order to pay people to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like I know if I really wanted to, there's probably people I could go to be like, hey, I have this concept for something. Think you can help me like make a reality? And I'm sure if they really wanted to and they're not super busy, obviously, I'm sure they would love to help. And I'm sure you, especially with the connections you've been able to make and the incredible people that have helped you even get to this point, you could easily make this thing a reality.
Completely beyond my wildest dreams already. And like, you know, I still have, you know, no money and
right.
Nobody really knows me, but like still even today, like just completely beyond my wildest dreams, the people I've met and talked to. So it's nothing is impossible. And two things I'll say is that like one, even with all that said, and I think all of that is true, like I wanted to make PigBog, like I said, the pitch book at least, to be the version where I would be happy if this was the only thing that it like. I don't see the book as like a diminished version of what it could be, even though it kind of inherently is that also, because it's pointing to a thing that is hypothetical. But like anything that is on the road to making that like being closer to what that hypothetical is actually pointing to,
right,
is cool, but it's ultimately still its own thing. It's its own piece of art. And I try to, at every step I take with this project in particular, I try to like think of them all as their own entities and you know, try to be satisfied with them on their own merits, you know, because I don't think everything does need to have the final version of it or whatever. There doesn't need to be that for every single thing. Sometimes the version that you are pointing to, the hypothetical version is better, you know.
The fact that you even got what you did out there in the first place is enough of an achievement on its own.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it, and it's you know, I did try to again design it with that in mind. And then also like in terms of on the more like it is possible side of things. You know, I think about Gameaverse that just came out.
Yes.
That's been in the works for so long. I remember when those were on Newgrounds. And stuff like that. I mean, seeing all of that come full circle.
I mean, what was it? Ross said that he's been working on this for like what 20 years at this point or whatnot before he even got the proper pilot.
It really reminds me of what I've been doing and so many other people, by the way. You know, you have this idea kicking around and I want to see it, and I want to see everybody's because I feel like so many people on the internet, especially with the recent proliferation of all of these indie pilots, like everybody kind of has that thing or like at least one bouncing around in there, and I think everybody should make it. And, you know, the way that I did PigBog and am doing PigBog and may continue to do PigBog in the future, like that's one example of it that I hadn't really seen be done.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to like do the big version of that, so that other people could do their version, you know? And they're being like, oh, well, this thing is like 100 pages. I don't have to feel self-conscious about my thing being too much or whatever.
I mean, I go into detail, but not that much detail.
Yeah. And in the grand scheme of things, you know, it's like when you look at a lot of these character pages, there's only a couple paragraphs on them.
Right.
It's just that I'm trying to pack in everything about this. It's not really meant to be a pitch book,
right?
A traditional pitch book. It's meant to be the representation of this idea in a pitch book skin, in a vaguely pitch book costume. But yeah, so PigBog's really important to me. I am still working on it, even though I haven't like put out much for it in a while.
Right.
It's like one of the main things that I, you know, think about all the time. And we'll see what form it takes next. I think definitely, at the very least, like the last couple seasons, I want to like round those out so that then the book will really be like done.
There you go.
In my brain, like it was done at the point that I finished it 5 years ago, because I was done with school and the class that it was associated with, and B, like I was like, you know, I kind of want to leave the rest of the show open-ended. You know, I don't necessarily want to give it an ending, because I didn't really have one in mind, you know.
That's fair.
But now I do, roughly, and even in that, I'm still like, it may seem so meticulously plotted out, and it is in a lot of ways, but I also still want to leave room for, you know, a show isn't really a show without other people, and like the spontaneity of it. And so much of why Steven and Adventure Time and all those shows are so good is because the individual board artists are putting their own selves into it, and they wouldn't be they wouldn't have that personality without all of those people.
Right.
So you know, I want to leave room for that. If anybody else ever gets involved in it, I want their fingerprints on it too. You know, I'm just the only one who can do that right now, so I'm just going to keep doing it until somebody else steps in.
Right.
You know? It's all I can do.
Hey, and you know what? If what you're doing right now, especially with the incredible concept just on its own, like especially with what you have out there, is all that you can even muster up for the time being, that's again still a pretty good step in the right direction, you know, at the end of the day.
I try to over deliver so that you know, it's not feeling lacking.
Right.
It's feeling like its own unit.
Now, I wanted to pick one thing in order to transition to my next point. I remember you said just a little bit earlier that like you like going back to characters and such and like really tinker with them, the ones you have for years. There is one character in particular that I've noticed that you have constantly gone back to or whatnot. And I'm so curious about them at the end of the day. What in the world is a himbo?
Himbo is actually one of the newer ones.
Oh, really?
I have, though, been fixated on that idea of little body, big legs.
Yep.
And for anyone who, probably most people don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Yeah, I have this character Himbo, and he's just he's an orange guy with a little body and big, long, disproportionately long legs. And that's kind of it for him. He likes footwear. I mean, he kind of has to. It's kind of like the only thing you can
like
wear.
it's either footwear or leg wear. There's not really much of an
right?
in between.
Yeah. I have tried to put him in other clothes before, and it's always weird because it's always like extremely squat. His torso is also kind of his pelvis is
Yeah,
also
exactly.
kind of his face. So
look, I'm telling you, fedora, scarf, that's the outfit. That's the way to go.
right? Yeah. I think so too. Yeah, I do need to experiment more with hats for him. I think
you go.
He would look very very sharp.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was a newer character in the grand scheme of things. Like I think it was like 2018 or 2019 or something.
Okay.
And that was also a college spite invention.
I'm curious on the inspiration for I'm curious on the inspiration for this guy now.
Well, the obviously like the memes of like Kirby and things like that, like and Toad with the adult diaper from those old Polygon videos, and stuff like that. The disproportionate character idea was always very funny to me, and so I was like, I want to have my own version of that. And so when it came time to make what was essentially a thesis film, in my junior year, that would have been of college, I was like, I need to do something. Like I was considering doing like a PigBog related thing at that point. I hadn't quite. It wasn't what it is today.
Right. You hadn't quite nailed down the details of it just yet.
Yeah. Pandemic was kind of the incubation for this current incarnation of PigBog.
Fair enough.
They existed for many years, a lot of them, but like he didn't even used to be the main character.
I can imagine.
He was the antagonist. And I flipped that just because I thought it would be interesting, and I found it more interesting than the guy who was the original protagonist. And he's still definitely like a part of the show, but he's not quite as central. And also I made them much more gay and and sad. I gave them problems and homosexuality. Anyway, yeah, when I was doing the thesis film, I was like, I need something fun to maintain my, and even though PigBog is fun to me,
right,
there's so much backstory and so much that I knew I wanted to sharpen.
Stuff that a simple thesis film would not do justice.
Not really. Yeah, not exactly. And so I was like, I just want to do something fun, but I don't want to do like a Pixar short film, you know, and nothing necessarily against those, but I just didn't want to do it like that. I felt pushed, again, my contrarian streak in school. I felt very pushed into doing this, you know, thing without dialogue that was very like schmaltzy and, you know, resolved in this really understandable, palatable way. And so instead I was just like, okay, I guess I'll do something no dialogue, but I'll make it like a Looney Tunes type thing. And I'll also make it like very gross out humor focused, because that felt kind of more subversive than what I was being pushed to do at the time. And I'll make this really dumb character design that literally just exists to make me laugh, and like make my other friends in the class laugh.
Right.
Although I'm sure they got sick of him after a while. There's only so many times you can see those jokes that it actually works out. But they are a bit nostalgic for him now. That time has passed.
Yep.
They're like, oh man, I remember Himbo from back in the day. And he's Himbo because that word was proliferating in the 2019, and I asked my partner at the time what his name should be, and they were like Himbo,
Himbo.
in like a funny voice, and I was like, yeah, that feels right, because he is dumb and polite and hot in his way,
in his own way.
Yeah, in his sort of smooth Barbie doll way. But yeah, I just needed something to do that made me laugh, which is kind of the crux of everything I do at the end of the day.
Well, I was gonna say, I can imagine, especially for a character design like that. That's why you've been able to come back to it several times in other shorts, as well as making some online comics as well, like digital books that people can get online right now for him. At the end of the day,
the zines were kind of the first incarnation of him, because like I was working on the thesis film that's called Shoes. I was trying to finish that, and we definitely did not have a I mean, the animation program at that school is barely even exists anymore. It's really sad.
Can imagine.
But like, even back then, when it was ostensibly a thing, you know, we didn't have like CalArts infrastructure.
Right.
Like, they have that as an established part of the curriculum, but this was sort of a thing that, you know, to my teacher's credit, he was trying to push us to, you know, do. However, the infrastructure was just like not there. So like barely anybody finished, you know, the thing, because we were not at a CalArts level and it was not part of our curriculum. And you know, and I don't blame anybody for not, because there's like 8 other classes that you have to have. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It was a tall order, but I feel like I was able to finish that because I just thought it was so dumb and funny. And also shout out that I'll make about Himbo is that the first attempt at the little body big legs thing that I had done was like earlier that year. We had an assignment in a class to like reinterpret a fairy tale, and my college roommate and I, who were in that class together, picked this obscure Brothers Grimm fairy tale called Hans My Hedgehog.
Hans My Hedgehog.
It's about a hedgehog with human legs who wears a kilt and rides a chicken and plays the bagpipes. And this is real.
Where's this in the Sonic lore?
Yeah, right.
That sounds like someone's Sonic OC.
In the comic that we made, I was making a bunch of stupid Sonic references,
right?
Because of course, like you have to. I made him do like the Sonic Adventure impossible pose, which is really hard for somebody with big legs who is not designed to turn into a ball,
right?
And is not drawn in that style. But anyway, we had done that, and we thought it was so dumb and funny, and so I made Himbo kind of after that character to be like, I still want to play around with this idea, but I don't think I want to have it be the hedgehog anymore, because that's like just a tiny bit too high concept for what I was trying to accomplish.
Right.
Like Himbo just needed to speak for himself, kind of, just by looking at him. So I, especially with the no dialogue, meanwhile, that hedgehog comic that we did, my roommate and I were writing all kinds of stupid dialogue, and that worked because it was a comic.
Mm-hmm.
But we with Himbo, he doesn't talk. He just makes a weird little dolphin sound.
Yep.
And he's my guy. I love him very much. I have big plans for him.
Ooh, oh, you tease now. Okay. No, I was just gonna say, like, because I love like the animations that you've done with him just in general. Like, I know the most recent one of Himbo going for the goal or whatnot, the little soccer one where we had the dude just basically doing like the flashback of like him growing up. I wanted to be a dancer, but my dad said I had to be an athlete or whatnot. Like those animations, like I always get a good laugh just seeing it, whether it be something as long as that or something as short as like just a 6-second running cycle with a horse to celebrate the new year for some reason or something like that. Like those animations are good. And I mean, just your animations in general. I wanted to mention this a little earlier with the PigBog one, but I love like the style and especially the art style that you influence with it. It gives me like a good like 90s anime-esque style, but like a very specific style of 90s anime. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but
totally. Yeah,
okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
But I am curious at the very least when it comes to like the animations you have been able to put out there, like just out of curiosity, is there a particular one that's like your proudest one that you've been able to put out there?
I mean, a lot of them are like in terms of like full polished animations, like, yeah, that Himbo soccer one definitely is up there.
Yep.
I referenced like a lot of like sports anime and also like weird old sports flash cartoons that I had found. I was searching like soccer cartoons to like get a sense of what had come before me. And also I know nothing about soccer. And I think it's very clear when you watch that cartoon that I know absolutely nothing about soccer and did not even make an effort to.
Well, you're telling me you're not a soccer head that's eagerly awaiting the World Cup, which may or may not be going on by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah, who knows? It could be happening right outside my window, and I wouldn't even know. But yeah, I was never much of an athlete. No shade to it, but like
obviously,
I just it's not something my body can do and could ever do. But yeah, the Himbo soccer one definitely, I'm proud of that, and I'm also proud of it on like a conceptual and writing standpoint too, because going back to PigBog a little bit, like that ended up being, without me even really meaning to, that Himbo soccer cartoon ended up being kind of like a weird PigBog microcosm, at least like in the way that PigBog talks about and like confronts masculinity, which is like a big theme of the show. I ended up kind of doing it there too, but in like a much more condensed form.
Right.
So I was like, oh, that weirdly ended up being a thesis statement, and that's just kind of what came out of me at the time. And I grew up with you know, there's the pressure as, you know, growing up as a dude to like you know, get into sports and be good at physical things and have that that traditional male life path that just was never really even an option for me to begin with. But even if it was, I just didn't really want it to be.
Right.
So I was kind of channeling some of that frustration into that, and also into PigBog, except with PigBog, instead of it being a soccer player, the metaphor for like a man and masculinity is fantasy hero. It's
right.
like an RPG level 100 guy. But anyway, so I love that one. I just finished something called Hatch.
Yes.
Yeah, which is the Humpty Dumpty thing. It's a Humpty Dumpty trans allegory body horror cartoon in vertical orientation for some reason, which I do from time to time. I had been doing that at first just to you know, play to TikTok. But the more I did it, the more I was like, oh, I kind of like the compositional like opportunities you can have with this. Like, it's kind of fun and interesting. So I you know, I continued to do things like that, and I was like, okay, what if I did like a really polished like thing? I mean, by my standards, thing with it. And so, yeah, the Humpty Dumpty thing was a very earnest attempt at that. And it's like got some jokes in it, but it's mostly just like a scary thing.
Yeah, compared to
or
like
at least
some
that.
compared to some of the other stuff that you put out there, that's definitely got a lot more of a darker, serious tone to it compared to some of the other stuff you put out there.
Yeah, I that was very intentional. I just kind of wanted to try that, you know.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a big swing in a lot of different directions, but also like a totally standalone thing that was separate from. I'm so like intellectual property brained. I admit that I was even at the time trying to think like, oh, how can I tie this into like some other series of things that I made, but I was just like, no, don't. This is something.
Yeah, this is its own thing.
Yeah, and I like the purity of that.
Yeah.
I need to do that more often.
Yeah, you do. No, I was gonna say like I remember watching that one in particular, obviously getting ready for this interview more than anything else, but like seeing it and especially seeing the tone and especially like the unique take on Humpty Dumpty that I don't think a lot of people have really explored, like especially when it comes to like the body horror, dysmorphia, all that kind of aspect. Like the way you kind of illustrate it is like it's a very interesting tone that I see that you've been able to kind of emphasize with some of the things that you put out there in the first place. And obviously I think that also kind of leads to quite possibly one of the biggest things you've been able to accomplish, at least when it comes to a community aspect. And that's putting forth a film festival, which I don't think I've had many people on here that have curated or developed a film festival with you.
Oh, cool.
With you being Gendermation. Now,
yeah. And I'm so proud of that. And the Humpty Dumpty thing was kind of made for that. I mean, I had been making it before that was even a twinkle in my eye. But
right.
I finished it for that because I was like, well, this is kind of perfect, like perfectly on theme at least. And it might resonate with some of the people who are in the room for this thing. And putting your own film in your own film festival is kind of silly, but like I feel
as someone that's been involved with film festivals on like seeing other people involved with or whatnot, that's actually very on brand to have your own film as part of your own film festival.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen it many times, and I don't really think that's like
it's not a bad thing
hacky or anything. Yeah, I don't think that's hacky when anybody else does it, but for some reason when I was going to do it, I was like, is this weird? Is this gonna be weird? But no, it like I think it fit well in the program that I made and the program that I made. It's so like I barely even have anything to do with it at the end of the day because I just get these amazing things in the Google form submission that people just send entirely of their own accord. Through like Instagram word of mouth, and so I'm just like, well, all I got to do is like put these in order and like, screen them. And yeah, so it's a trans only film festival, trans and non-binary animation thing. Because as I have done a lot of like local film festivals and sort of like film festival adjacent things, like I do Silver Lake Shorts semi often. I'm gonna be in the one in June if you're in LA. Anybody listening? But I think it's the 4th. And Hellovision, which is like a prompt based thing that people can submit to from all over the world. And I would encourage any animators to look at these open call type things because it's a really good excuse for me. It's a really good excuse to just make stuff and have it be part of a larger thing. Because a lot of the time it can really feel like you're throwing it out into the void. And even if these screening events are rather small and local, but like with Hellovision in particular, like they screen those all over the world, like in various places, and so there's stuff of mine playing in these little venues in, Quebec and
Oh yeah.
like just all of these places on the opposite coast, places that I am just not, sometimes at the same time as other ones that I like am at.
Right.
So yeah, I would recommend doing any of those. It's there, and there's a lot more than you would think.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, as someone that again went to school for filmmaking or whatnot, like I've been lucky enough to get some of my films in the film festivals, even ones that there was no way for me to get involved in them in the first place or whatnot. Like,
yeah,
I had one of my films streaming in New York as part of what's known as the Bad Film Festival. Not bad as in like
I've heard of that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like bad as in like low budget, more or less, is what they like to emphasize.
That's cool.
I got one of my horror shorts to premiere at like the only horror film festival in Iowa, I think it was or whatnot. It's
cool.
Like, yeah, yeah, I know, right?
Oh my God.
It's like very unique that it has that kind of stuff. And like, it's but I also imagine for you, like, it's one thing to have something that you created, like being shown to an audience that you have nothing associated with, like in the first place and whatnot. It has to be a whole nother thing whenever you develop a space for yourself and for other people, especially with Gendermation being a film festival that emphasizes trans and non-binary voices or whatnot. And not only being able to premiere your own film there or whatnot, but to also give the voices to all these other incredible animators in one form or fashion, to like showcase the incredible hard work that they have to express themselves that they may not have been able to otherwise.
And a lot of whom are friends of mine who I just want to be building up anyway, and I do on my social media, but like, only so many people see that.
Social media can only take you so far.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think like, also having done like participated in a lot of these like film festival and festival adjacent type things, there's a lot of queer people involved.
Oh yeah.
And the Venn diagram is not quite a circle, but almost. And so I was like, this could actually, like, you could pretty easily make a program full of just stuff by trans and non-binary people.
Yeah.
And it came together like pretty easily. And most of that ease was thanks to Joy Who Lived, who's the people who I produced it with.
Yeah,
I basically like pitched them the idea, and they're like a theater and comedy festival primarily. Okay. So they're doing like live performance stuff.
Oh, nice.
So my thing was kind of one of the outliers.
Right.
They didn't really have a whole lot of film stuff. They had like a cool little 30-second film festival. I don't know if you've ever done those.
Oh, I haven't done 30-second ones, but I've done 48-hour film festivals where you literally have 48 hours to like make a film based off like 3 prompts so you're given at like the beginning of the 48 hours or whatnot.
Yeah. I wish that there were more of those for animation, because I think those are fun.
Well, I think for animation, depending on if you want to make just an animatic or a full-fledged animation, it wouldn't be 48 hours, it'd be like 48 days,
Yeah, right? Yeah, and then you've got 2 seconds. Yeah.
Exactly. But
it's so hard to develop time.
Yeah,
but I can't even imagine doing it live action. Like,
oh my God, yeah. No, I mean, like for live action, that's just in my experience or whatnot with the 48 hours or whatnot. You spend the first night trying to get the script out as best you can or whatnot. You spend the whole day Saturday, filming as much as you can because you try to make the script as simple as possible, and then you spend all that day Sunday just editing it all together, more or less.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, my friend Angela's doing it right now, and it's like so impressive and so amazing. But yeah, it's logistically so complicated, and I kind of, even though animation is plenty complicated on its own, it is kind of easy in the sense that I can just sit and grind at my computer all day and then have something,
exactly,
even if only a couple seconds of something.
But I can understand why for the festival you were talking about, the Joy Who Lived or Joy That Lived or whatnot. Like, I can understand why having a festival like yours be an outlier, because like you said, they're like a performing theatrical troupe or whatnot. Having a film festival associated, let alone an animated film festival associated with it, is not really something that you would associate with that.
Yeah, not really at all. And so when I had pitched it to them, it was just like a total shot in the dark.
Right.
And I wasn't even really pitching it in the sense that I was going to run it. I was sort of just pitching it as like an idea, and that maybe have somebody who was better suited to it. But they were like, no, you should do it. And, you know, we want you to do it. Figure something out.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they were very helpful in that, but they pretty much let me do all of the, like, you know, the graphic design and the promotion and stuff like that. They figured out all the hard stuff in terms of like the venue and stuff. We were at one of the LGBT center campuses in LA, and yeah, it was great. There's only been one so far, but I'm trying to figure out what other ones are going to look like.
Right.
There's a couple places I have in mind, kind of on like opposite ends of LA. That the first one was in like West Hollywood area, kind of. So it was like fairly central and like well known, but like and like accessible to people, I found. But like you know, LA's really big and spread out and in very stupid ways. And then I'm taking the bus everywhere, and I'm also living in the valley, which is kind of like on the edge of the county, on one end. So yeah, there's lots of places that it could end up. I'm figuring it out. I already have, like, since I made the submissions, like rolling submissions, so people could just submit whenever and it would be eligible for
future showings.
Yeah, because I have no idea what I'm doing. But I already have like 45 minutes worth of stuff for the next one.
Oh, so, there you go.
You know, it's there's definitely not a lack of interest in theory, you know.
No, absolutely.
So I'm very excited about that, and yeah, the program, a lot of the films that are in it are available like publicly, so you can go on the I think it's just at Gendermation on Instagram, and I made a whole list of all the films, and I would recommend any one of those. They're all like so different and so just so interesting. Lots of different mediums. You know, the idea of trans film period is so varied, but that totally goes for trans animation too. Like, it's just all kinds of stuff, because nobody is one thing.
No, exactly. And I imagine, like, the fact that you're even able to do one of these, let alone have a rolling submission to do more of these or whatnot, like, that's an achievement on its own at the end of the day, being able to amplify those voices at the end of the day, because it's not easy to do that as someone that tries to amplify voices in one form or fashion.
Exactly.
The fact that you were able to do that and have honestly a pretty successful first showing and really start the plans for like the next one, like, it's gotta be kind of surreal, not just like as someone that is hosting this thing, but even taking a step back, like just as an artist, like thinking about like the entire path you've even been on from when you were young and doodling, you know, comics and notebooks to who you are right now, coming up with like cool concepts and fun characters and incredible platforms for people to, like, you know, get their voices out there at the end of the day. Like, just thinking about your entire journey as a whole, is it surreal, or does it surprise you to think how far you've been able to develop as an artist?
Yeah, completely. Every single day, it's completely surreal, and I'm grateful that I'm in a place now where I mean, the vast majority of the stuff that I'm doing is still just like my own stuff, and I have to listen to my own voice all day and just drive myself insane. But I do more and more get to, you know, shepherd other people's work, and you know, I sometimes get to animate other people talking, and then I get to listen to them all day, which is way better.
Well, I was gonna say I had you mentioned it earlier, but I hadn't even brought the fact that like you had a fun scene helping out with the People's Joker animating a scene for that film as well, which that had to be kind of like, oh, that's insane. I get to be a part of this. What?
Yeah. That was definitely the most surreal experience of my life, just that entire rollout. And that entire rollout was like such not a normal rollout for a movie.
Of course
anyway.
not. Of course
so
not.
That being like the first and only movie that I've been involved in is like so strange and just unusual. And but it was just like so completely positive, like all the way down. And just watching that get out into the world and become such a thing is amazing. And probably a lot of people have no idea what we're talking about, but you look up the People's Joker. It's a whole other rabbit hole.
I mean, I would like to hope that some of the people that are watching this episode will at least know, considering the fact that I've also had previous guests on the podcast being involved with it, namely Left at London and Holiday Kiss providing some songs for the movie as well.
Yeah. Their end credits song is like the perfect end credits song.
I know, right? It's so great.
It's like, oh God. And it's such like a sprawling thing like the movie is itself. And that's also in terms of things that I'm proud of, like and that was kind of one of the first like fully animated scenes that I had done, period. I hadn't done the whole things before then. Yeah, Vera totally like took a shot in the dark on me. And it was a shot in the dark for me too, because I just responded to the open call that she had at the time, which was only even really up for kind of a short amount of time on the website, where she was like, offer yourself as tribute kind of thing. Like if you can help with anything, put your name in this email form. And then sure enough, like months and months later, but sure enough, she was like, do you want to animate the scene? And not only was it a scene, but it was like kind of an important one and like a really emotional one, like smack in the middle of the movie. And I hadn't animated anything, so I was just like, okay, I'll try.
Here goes nothing.
But I'm still really proud of how that turned out. There's a lot of things that I would change, but like I think it holds up, like even just compared to my other stuff, it holds up pretty well. I think partially just because I had her support, and then also it was already like so well voice acted and written out that, like the pace was already there. I didn't really have to do much. I just had to kind of give it form. But yeah, it's things like that where it's somebody else's stuff. I did some work with my friend Angela on this YouTube show called The Anarchy Funhouse as well.
Okay.
With that, it was a lot of like mixing live action and animation, which I had also never done before. So I was just like, okay, I'll try. And we, made it happen. But yeah, getting to do things for other people is great. No, I love doing that and not being like so myopic. I kind of only am that way because, well, not only, but definitely a big reason why I am that way is just out of necessity. Like I just want to make a body of work and nobody else is going to do it for me. So I just need to do it myself.
Exactly.
So, but I have found that occasionally other people do want help doing their things. So I am extremely happy to do that.
Absolutely.
And again, I love not listening to my own voice ad nauseum.
Honestly, as someone that listens to his own voice odds on end, there's some days where I enjoy it, and there's some days where I'm like, oh my God, Nathan, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. There's some days where I can like view it as a separate entity and like be objective about it. But that's just not always possible. You get so in your head.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, speaking of also trying to do something for yourself, what if I gave you the ultimate opportunity to do something for yourself? Because Tucker, for this next question, I want to give you more or less the dream scenario, if I may.
Oh God.
Let's say I am big shot Mr. Moneybags. I come to you, I'm like, look, Tucker, we have seen what you've been able to do. We've been telling everyone else that they've got it. Like, they've got something incredible. You just need an extra push, an extra platform to get you to that point. We have access to everyone and anyone in whatever industry possible, and more money than there should be possible. We probably should be giving it back to the animators, make sure they have a working living wage, be able to get health insurance, all that kind of stuff. Hashtag same with animation forever and always. But right now we're focusing on you and you alone. We'll take care of the animators. We'll promise that's part of the deal. All right. We're not going to leave them out.
Right.
But if given this opportunity, what would be the dream Tucker Wooley project?
I mean, definitely like PigBog is just that.
Yep.
Just by design. But even that, like, making an animated series is so expensive.
It is.
It might not even be enough, you know.
We said all the money in the world, okay? So it will be enough.
Well, yeah. So complete pie in the sky, pie in the sky. It would be definitely that. If it couldn't be that, it would be. I have an idea for the Patreon knows all about this. Them being like two people, but
shout out to my patrons as well, because it's the same exact situation.
it's so, and they're the ride or dies. They really are. They're like, God, I cannot thank them enough. And my Patreon is completely just the ramblings of a madman too, as my end of this podcast has been. It's but in like big block of text form. But I've written you know, certainly a lot about PigBog and the future of PigBog on there. But I had this whole idea for a Himbo movie. He becomes he gets worker exploited. He becomes like an Amazon delivery driver, but on foot. It's like Death Stranding almost. He's got this big like backpack full of people's packages, and he's dealing with that in like a big city. So I have some like very, very early pre like concept art type stuff for that, and just like the basic outline. But I would want to do that and like make it like a People's Joker, like Joni Peppers type like collage movie kind of thing. Like I would want there to be all of these like guest animators and like them doing their own scenes, because a big part of Himbo has also been like different art styles. Like there was that one scene that I made of him and where I was trying to emulate all these different art styles just to see what he would look like. And so I would kind of want his like big day out, whatever that looks like, to be this kind of like collage movie. It wouldn't be all me, for sure. And I would hope that actually most of it wasn't. Just things like that where I could bring other people in.
Absolutely.
Like that's kind of my big like pie in the sky goals, because you know it's just been me.
That's fair enough.
So PigBog would be great to do. I would love to be able to do a version of it, and part of the reason why it is the version that it is, like completely hypothetical, is because like, you know, all that stuff is so pie in the sky. It's so expensive. And even when things do get made, sometimes they get cut off and are premature. And that's so disappointing. And especially for something that's been in my head for so long, I think I would just die. So having it in this other form is almost like a defense mechanism. But if I was given the opportunity, I would definitely like want to bring that to its full fruition because there's a lot of important things that I want to say in that, and with the Himbo thing too. Like Himbo's very much more on the goof comedy side,
there
but
you
like
go.
it's the villain is just Amazon in that.
Big corporation, I get it.
Yeah, it's big corporation or us.
There you go.
And so I have some things to say in that about like just worker exploitation and AI and stuff. So those are kind of the things that come to mind immediately.
No, absolutely. I can only imagine. But sadly, we do need to get down from the dream scenario. We have to get back to reality. And I'll ask the ever so generic question. Where do you hope to see yourself, say, 5 to 10 years from now?
I mean, I would love to just be doing what I'm doing now, but on a bigger scale and like with more people involved. I would love there to be more gendermations under the belt and just have that be like a semi-regular thing. It probably won't transcend past local, but I do want to, put all of that stuff online and make sure that there's a big online thing so that people can participate from wherever. I would love to have the rest of PigBog plotted out in the way that I have planned for it, and just be further along. I have grand designs, as you could probably imagine, for a lot of my things. So I just want to be, further along on those timetables.
Absolutely. No, I can completely understand that at the end of the day. And honestly, I hope you get the opportunity to make that and then some, because that would be really incredible to see that come to fruition in one form or fashion.
Thank you.
As we start to wind down the interview, I just got one last question I want to ask you. Obviously, you are deeply entrenched in art at this point, seeing as like all the different aspects that we have talked about, and even the ones we didn't get a chance to talk about, like some of the poetry you've been able to put out there and such.
Right.
How important is art, not just for you, but for the world as a whole?
I mean, like, I think as someone who's tried to get more involved in like on the ground organizing, as things have gotten scarier, I definitely don't think that those two worlds are like mutually exclusive at all. I think it can definitely feel like that. And it can feel very frivolous and kind of like a bourgeoisie like self-actualization concern for people. But I think it really is closer entrenched than I think, or than people think. And I think it's it's good for morale. You gotta not want to die while you're doing all of the more important interpersonal stuff. And for me, like, just in the context of my own life, like, this is just how I derive purpose. It's a weird thing and complicated thing to derive purpose from, but that's kind of, everybody has their version of that. Some of them are way more profitable than others. But this is just kind of the thing that I do. And I think it's important to just keep doing it while also doing more practical things. I think the mix is good. It's a little bit like how like medication really only works its best like in conjunction with therapy. And I'm talking mostly about like mental health stuff, but also certainly in terms of like physical therapy, and like chronic pain and stuff like that. It's working best when it's in conjunction with some other medium, and so I think, you should be on the ground and, in labor unions, if that's applicable to you. I would be much more involved in the animation guild and stuff like that if I had a animation job, but I just haven't really had one of those yet.
Right.
And you kind of need to get involved with that. So, or at least on the organizational level, but hashtag I stand with animation is it's an amazing way that you can participate in that as an outsider, someone who's not necessarily in the industry. But yeah, I think it's important it's good for morale. It's good for changing hearts and minds. Like, I really think it can. I'm not necessarily trying to do that with my stuff, but it doesn't hurt. Like,
right.
I would love to be able to give somebody a new perspective on something based on something that I made. Because sometimes it's the really stupid things that do end up resonating the most and like changing your mind, Yep. If Himbo can give somebody a better, more healthier relationship with their body or something, even though it's very silly. It's sometimes that is the most effective, and certainly has been for me. So, stuff like that. So long story short, I think it's important. It's more important in conjunction with all the other thing, but yeah.
There you go. I think that is wonderfully worded, if I do say so myself.
Thank you.
Tucker, that is all the questions I have for you today. I've already showered you with Lord knows how much praise at this point, but I'm showering with a little bit more because it's my podcast. I do what the fuck I want. Like I kind of illustrated before, I feel like our love and respect for each other has been very mutual and whatnot. Ever since you first heard about me and ever since I first heard about you, I see us going back and forth, mainly like, sharing the love for what each other's doing, spreading the word as best as we can and whatnot. And I cannot tell you how much I love and appreciate that on my end. But especially now getting the chance to see what you've been able to do, see what you've been able to put out there and such. And especially getting to hear your story and see how much of this creativity, this art drive has always been basically a part of you from day one, essentially. Probably even before you can even remember at the end of the day. Like, totally. It's incredible to see how far you have been able to develop and how much of a fingerprint that you have on this creative world, even if no one even really realizes it. I mean, especially like the stuff you have been able to put out there, the voices you've been able to amplify as best you can. Like, it's always something that I love and appreciate. And I wanted to make sure to give that love and appreciation back to you at the end of the day. Like,
thank you.
I know it's not easy to do this kind of stuff. I know it's not easy to work as hard as you can to try to get this stuff out there, but the fact that you still do it, that you still want to get that creative drive and storytelling and creativity out there at the end of the day, it's something I'm always going to love and admire, and something that is going to be the biggest reason why I'm always going to have your back no matter what you do, trying to amplify the voices, your own voice, as well as the other voices you want out there. The long and short of it is, Tucker, thank you for what you do. Thank you for putting yourself out there like you have, because I know, especially in today's times, it's not easy, especially for someone with a voice like yours, to get it out there. And like I said, I am one of the few, hopefully one of the many at some point in the future that's going to be rooting for you every single step of the way. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that just so much more than you can even understand. And I see the same in you, like just we were talking about the output that just the show alone has had in such a short relative amount of time. In like the internet grand scheme of things, at least, it's been like a monumental effort, and you've had some amazing people on, of all different, follower counts and stuff. And I admire it so much. And what drew me to it, in the first place was just the very sincere, like, amplification, aspect of things. It's seen as kind of gauche in some circles to be so sincere about that. I think people just can see everything as a big advertisement, and it kind of is, but like, it can be a very sincere exchange of praise and and ideas, you know, as well. And I think it's important to have stuff like this show that like is an expression of that in no uncertain terms, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You don't have to butter me up. You've already recorded the episode. Like, we're already good at this point. Now, if people want to know why I have been just gushing you with nothing but compliments since you even first got onto here, go ahead and plug yourself for the people at home. Where can people find more about you and what you've got going on, and about Gendermation as well?
Yeah, Gendermation is just at Gendermation on Instagram. I might make more social media for it someday. You can keep up with that. I'll be posting about that on the Instagram, and also like I made like a little mailing list for it and like a Discord that's a little bit active with some of the past people who have participated in the one and only for
so
now
far
thing. Yeah, exactly. We'll see. But and then I'm Tucker13X on Instagram, and I think like Tucker Wooley on Blue Sky. It's just my name. And yeah, you can all my social media and stuff, and pretty much everything I've ever made is on tuckerwooley.com. My dumb little website that I've had for, you know, over a decade now, and it definitely looks more than a decade old. You know, it only looks like that because I am using like the old version of the GoDaddy.com website builder that my dad bought for both of us in like 2015. So it's like, you know, it is an aesthetic choice on my part, partially, but also it's kind of just a product of the tools that I have available to me.
There you go.
And haven't bothered to change. But I recently made a couple like little HTML modules. I finally like focused enough to do something like that for like reading my comic, which is called Krampus Trick or Treat.
Yep.
It's a comic about a bunch of holiday mascots having interpersonal beef at a Halloween party, and I finally made an HTML thing to read that through in like a proper way, and also to read the PigBog book through in a proper way, and those are on my website. And yeah, everything is on my website if you just kind of go down deep in it enough. So
there you go.
Yeah.
And I'll be sure to have all those links and then some in the description below, including the Google Doc, where if you are a trans or non-binary animator yourself and you have a film that you would like to potentially be part of future Gendermations, the Google Doc form will be in the description below. You can apply, send it in, and Tucker would probably use it for a future festival at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I just have been so enjoying seeing what comes in. Mm-hmm. Like it's stuff that it ranges from stuff that has only gotten a couple views to stuff that has like won awards.
Yep.
And just crazy stuff like that. So it's always just hugely cool to see what people are doing. And yeah, and submissions are just going to be open until further notice. So just send it in.
Absolutely.
And I'll probably screen it. It'll probably only be in LA for now, but you know, if
in the future.
Yeah, exactly. And for now, if you like the idea of your thing being in a small venue in LA at some point in the near future,
go for it. There you go.
Yeah.
Go for it. Do you have any final words before we sign off?
I don't know. Just thanks for letting me yap so long. I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you too. Thank you for taking the time to do this on your end as well. And for everyone else at home, all I have left to say is, if you can, please pay your artists.
Indeed.
thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If this is your first time listening, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. Sincerely, this was a fun conversation to have with Tucker, and I feel so bad that I had to kind of rush it towards the tail end of it because, to be blunt with all you guys, I was making my way to the Backrooms film, which was a fun film. But even then, like the conversation I had with Tucker was absolutely sensational. And Tucker, if you've gotten up to this point, thank you so much for even taking the time to do this in the first place. It genuinely does mean a lot. You're a fantastic soul in this amazing world. I'm glad I got to put out the episode at this time more than anything else. Obviously, for those that are listening to it when it drops, it is Pride Month. And I'm not going to lie, I feel a little bad. I haven't really got the chance to celebrate Pride Month the way I really wanted to. Like, I know I'm doing the stuff with the t-shirts on the merch shop, which I sincerely hope you guys take the chance to go there and get some, because there's some incredible Pride merch, especially considering the fact that the artist behind it, Roshan Galaxy, fantastic artist, spent a lot of time making sure that those colorways looked right, and they did a phenomenal job with it. But, with this year's Pride Month, I think I've just been more busy when it comes to work and such. I haven't really had a chance to celebrate the Pride aspect. I mean, unless you want to consider going to the Amazing Digital Circus The Last Act as a Pride event, which I kind of do. I just, it feels weird, but I still feel a lot of pride in myself as a pansexual person. It's nice to know that there are other people that feel that awkwardness, but also feel part of a beloved community at the end of the day. I know there are several people on the LGBTQ plus spectrum that love and accept me for who I am, and it's good to know to feel a little bit of love at the end of the day. I hope I'm able to do that with episodes like Tucker's, with episodes where I get to shine light on, such individuals that do incredible work in one form or fashion. Like, you gotta believe me when I say I don't go out of my way trying to find LGBTQ plus artists. I just happen to find them, because for them, this is the best way they can to express themselves. And I don't want that flame in them to express themselves to die out. So I'm more than happy to feature them. I'm more than happy to feature some incredible artists on this podcast. And I sincerely hope that you guys give the same love and respect to these artists like Tucker, the same way that I give them love and respect, because they absolutely deserve it and then some. Just like you guys all deserve that love and respect for what you do. Keep up the incredible work that you guys are doing. Don't let anyone try to tell you not to be yourself, because you are your true self. You're an incredible person. Keep doing incredible things.